Alright, you need to get more in the middle for your camera. Yeah, that's good. Alright, we ready to start? We can start right now. Okay, you're getting a little creepy. I think you're going to drive people away. Okay, you're creeping me out. Alright, I'm out of here. You're lucky that I'm too tired to get up or I'd leave. You definitely spend a lot of time like staring at yourself.
Hey sports fans, welcome to a special edition of Torah Talk. This Torah Talk is dedicated to the memory of Trayvon Martin. And we're all about justice for Trayvon on tonight's show. Let me tell you, I'm out there day in, day out, working on the cause of justice for Trayvon. I'm going to every shul for Shacharit, for Mincha, for Ma'ariv, like with my hands out saying, guys, collect, give to the cause for justice for Trayvon. And it could be a thankless task, but I'm out there walking the mean streets of Pico Robertson, me, Levi Ben Abraham, along with my cohort, Rabbi Rabbs, fighting for justice for Trayvon. And you know what the white man is doing to me? The white man keeps sending me my credit card bills. Can you believe that? I'm out there fighting for mother effing Trayvon, and the white man keeps sending me my credit card bills. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine, white man. Keep sending me those credit card bills, because it ain't no thing. Because you don't have to worry. I'll pay you your mother effing money, okay, for those credit card bills, because that's the way I roll. But I'm still fighting for Trayvon, even though the man's got his foot on my throat, trying to choke the life out of me, trying to oppress people like me and Trayvon, who just walk down the street with our Skittles and our iced tea and our hoodies. Rabbs and I have our hoodies on tonight. You may not be able to see because of the camera. You know, it's not so high def, but if we're in high def, you'd see that we have our hoodies on tonight. Me and the Heat, the Miami Heat, are here fighting for mother effing Trayvon, justice for Trayvon, and we will not be discouraged.
I sense a lot of repressed hatred towards black people.
Look, ever since I was a child, when I was marching in Selma, Alabama, with Martin Luther King, so that black people could have the right to vote in America, like, I braved the bulldogs of...
You know what I think it is? I think you're from, like, you saw, like, the Aborigines in the outback of Australia, and you think of, like, all black people as having, like, as being spear chuckers with rings in their noses. And I think that's it.
Not at all, man. I am the most colorblind person you'll ever meet.
I was starting to think that
this
before.
show is
Tonight,
all about racial reconciliation. And because, as Orthodox Jews, we're primarily devoted to a value system, we don't see people in terms of black and white. We see people in terms of good and evil. But there are those out there like the Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton who are trying to whip up racial hysteria and racial hatred when we know nothing about this case. We don't really know what happened between Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. We don't know any of the facts, but we've got a president out there who says, you know, if I had a son, he'd probably look a lot like Trayvon. Well, if I had a son, he'd probably look a lot like Trayvon, because I like the black sugar. You know I like the black sugar.
You do. Look right there.
And so, I mean, I have... I've walked down those roads, so to speak, and, I've gone out with some black women. And for all I know, I do have a son out there who looks a lot like Trayvon.
Your son would look more like Trayvon than Obama's son. Because he's a half whitey.
Right.
He's got those strong white genes.
Right.
But you give up your genes when you
And
plant
for all
your
I know,
seed.
Trayvon Martin was my son.
He probably was. He's around the right age for that.
About the right age for that, and for all I know... And we know nothing about what happened that night. So if you're all stirred up about the Trayvon Martin case, it means you don't have a life. You're jumping to conclusions and you're trying to rip up racial hatred in this country. And like, we have black Orthodox Jews in this neighborhood, and they're they integrate into the community completely according to their deeds.
Well, they're not. Black Orthodox, first of all, we don't use the word Orthodox.
Well, you don't use the word Orthodox.
Black Jews, right,
Yeah.
is an oxymoron. There's no such thing as black Jews. When a black
A Jew's a Jew.
when a black person converts,
Mm-hmm.
they become a Jew.
Right,
There's no blank Jew. It's
Right.
you become a Jew.
right,
We have Jews who have black skin,
right,
right? We have Jews who have white skin.
right.
We have Jews that have blonde hair. We have Jews that have red hair.
I have a friend who has black skin who just completed his conversion to Orthodox Judaism.
Oh, Muslim talk.
And there are plenty of black Jews
Sure.
in this neighborhood.
No,
who
they're
are
not black Jews. They're Jews with black skin.
Jews with black skin who were born Jewish, grew up
But they just have dark
pro-Jews
skin.
or secular, and they're completely accepted according to their deeds.
Sure.
So I grew up a Seventh-day Adventist, and again, people were accepted according to their deeds, according to the way they live. So Seventh-day Adventists, there are tons of black and yellow and
Right, it's
browns
not like the
and Seventh-day
Mormons where
Adventists.
they think
Right.
blacks are like some degenerate animal or
Well,
something.
they used to.
But
I
wasn't
mean, they're not
politically
like
correct.
that. They're not like that anymore.
Like, whoops, we gotta have that. God made a mistake there. God changed his mind. Sue's in the chat room because Garden Fun is in there. Hey, Ellen, and
my Rebbe is in
Malachi's
Lakewood
in there.
Rav.
Lakewood Rob, and also I saw Henry, but I don't know where he is now.
So your sweetie was here for 3.5 weeks, and now she's
Yeah,
gone. So
she's
how
gone.
how you holding up? I sent you a very thoughtful and empathic email.
And I wrote you back. And,
How you holding up?
And I told you how I was holding up.
You said, "What do you think?"
What do you think? How do you think I feel? It was really tough. Pesach was really tough for me because
You had female companionship, and now it's gone.
she was gone, and so I was just getting over the fact that she was no longer around, and then I had 49 hours by myself to think about it. In essence, and then Luke's too busy to have to stop by and say hi.
I thought about it, but I thought, what if I knock on the door and you're busy on the internet or something, or watching
busy
TV?
on the internet or on
Yeah,
TV.
and it's I have to shut everything down and pretend to be Shomer Mitzvot. I know that if I knock on the door,
We're talking about me, not you.
I know if I knock on the door that I'd probably catch you in mid-stroke, and it would just be really awkward. Or I open up the door and I take a big.
Well, there's a movie. It's like Harold. Is that you? Did you ever see that movie?
No.
You got to download that movie. I think it's called Harold. Is that you?
Uh-huh.
Red Fox. You know who he is?
Yeah.
He's a black man.
Yeah.
He's a black comedian, very funny, and he comes home one night and he comes home unexpected and sneaks up on it. He comes home and his son is dressed in drag.
Exactly. That's what I'm kind of worried. If I knock on your door, that I'll see something frightening and you'll get embarrassed and it'll be the end of the show. And also, it would be a whole new challenge for our relationship because we've only hung out once.
No, we've hung out more than once.
Really? When? We went to dinner once.
We went out to dinner once, and you never returned the favor by taking me out.
Right.
Now that you have a big job and a big spender. Let's see what.
Right. When else did we hang out?
Well, we walked around.
We've walked around before or after the show.
Yeah.
But when did we actually get together?
We bumped into each other.
We bumped it. When have we have never gotten together but once.
I drove you back from the hospital.
Right. That's
I bumped
twice.
into you at the Rabbs.
Bumping doesn't
we
count.
picked up a chick together.
Bumping doesn't count. But yeah, I'm afraid that I'll catch you, doing something awkward, and it'll impact the show. So I thought, I've actually thought of knocking on your door.
You should definitely knock on the door.
Okay,
the
so
worst
I'll do
scenario is I'm taking a nap or I'm jacking off or something, and I just won't come to the door.
Okay, good. So just don't come to the door if you hear a knock and there's something going on that you don't want to share. Just I won't knock twice. I won't play this knock 3 times on the door in front of you. It's I'm just knocking once. Just boom. It's not even boom, boom. It's not, boom, boom, boom. Just boom.
I see.
And you don't come to the door I'm moving on.
Okay.
But no, I actually did think of...
yeah, it was brutal. How was your Pesach? Mine was brutal. Mine was all by myself. Have you ever...
All by myself.
Do. You ever done the Seder by yourself?
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
You know, you have to like ask the 4 questions and then you have to turn around and answer them.
Yeah.
Hey, why do we do this? I'll tell you why.
Punk.
Yeah.
The idea of a self-Seder is ridiculous, but it's ridiculous.
It's really made for more than one person.
Yeah, this whole religion is made for more than one
Oh yeah,
person,
it doesn't really work by yourself. It's like
I had one by myself and one.
Seder's by yourself is no different than masturbating. I'd rather be caught masturbating, right, when Luke knocks on the door, than Luke walking in the morning. I'm like busy doing the Seder by myself. Hey, come on in! I'm asking myself the 4 questions right now, Luke.
I'm trying to find the Afikoman.
Where did I hide it? Yeah, it's like
Where did it go now?
It's like embarrassing enough when the night before you got to do Badika by yourself. You know, it's
Right,
like I think I'll hide the 10. Now I'll go drink a 6-pack, and maybe I'll forget where I hid them. So like that's already embarrassing.
Why didn't we go to a communal Seder? Because they cost $50 minimum. That's why.
Why didn't you go to the communal Seder? Because the communal part. I don't do strangers and I read your blog this week and you said something like you don't like to do rooms with like a lot of people. That's like you can't be in the room for like 2 hours.
For more than about 2 hours.
Okay, because so you got that right out of my book because I have the same problem. I'm well documented on that. I don't do rooms of any sort for more than 3 hours tops. I don't care what the situation.
I can do it if there's like something special going on, like if I'm specially connected to people, particularly attractive young female.
Right.
People, or if I'm having a really good conversation, or just like really, getting along, trading jokes, or if I'm like in a good place in life. But I've been struggling most of my life. My life seems to just go from one crisis to another. It's like if it's not my health, it's getting thrown out of shul, or it's like some kind of social ostracism, opprobrium, loneliness, car doesn't work, no job, credit card payments pressing, overdue.
The man's really stepping on your throat.
The man's stepping on my throat. Innocent black kid eating Skittles, drinking iced tea, walking with his hoodie, getting shot. Like, it's always one crisis after another for me. So if I ever had, a few months where I had like a worthy place in society and I wasn't freaked out about money,
right.
Then I could chill. But there's probably some things that I'm doing wrong, why I keep going from crisis to crisis to crisis. But there have been brief moments, like even months or years, where at least many things were going right. I didn't have the social anxiety. Like it's crazy. Like Orthodox Judaism, like I go along for an hour or 2 or 3, and then I cut out, and then I find out that all these attractive young single women showed up just after I cut out.
You wonder why that is?
So I'm thinking, why didn't I hang in there for the Seder of Mashiach?
Well, what?
I'm thinking, more matzah and more grape juice, or wine. Like I do not need that for my diabetes, for all sorts of reasons. I do not need more matzah and grape juice. So I don't hang around for the Seder of Mashiach.
Right.
Then I'll find there are all these attractive single young women who show up.
Not worth it because the whole Seder Mashiach thing. If you're talking about Chabad, right?
Well, they even hold it at B'nai David, so they're also.
They have that.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's kind of freaky because the whole thing of Chabad, it's like it's the whole believing in that the Rebbe is the Messiah, the Rebbe is God. And
I don't care about that if there are checks.
Praying to the using the Rebbe as an intermediary and saying that he's not dead yet, and all this other nourishkeit, and a lot of it's heretical, and it's disgusting.
I'll tell you, the Chabad shuls that I go to, they have no truck with that. They don't hold. They think the Mashiachas are crazy.
That they think that the Mashiachas people are crazy because they say it out loud.
No, they think it's crazy. They don't. The Chabadniks that I know think it's crazy to believe that the Rebbe is the Mashiach and that he's coming back from the dead.
And do they think that it's crazy to say that the Rebbe runs the world?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's just like, I don't know that many people. I'm pretty socially ostracized. So, but, I know a few Chabadniks, and, we think that stuff is nuts.
Okay.
And I'm not a Chabadnik, obviously, by the way I dress, and like Chabad, people don't, the last few decades, Chabad's been this like outreach thing, but it was traditionally an elitist religion. It thought of itself, it regarded itself as the most intellectual of the Hasidic branches. And it's not for me to pass judgment. I'm not knowledgeable enough to say yes or no. It's a demanding way of life, and there are, some considerable.
Can I say that we've talked about that before?
Go ahead.
It's wonderful to go ahead and call yourself that, right? It's another thing to be that, and they aren't that. They're the exact opposite.
Well,
of that.
plenty are, and plenty aren't.
There are plenty. They aren't. Okay, fact. They aren't. They aren't. Again, you're only looking at the little shuls here in town. Go to the yeshivas. They aren't. But they like to call themselves that. There's something that's very common in the Jewish world. There will be groups that will call themselves
Shemei Bris.
We are the most this, we're the most that.
Yeah.
But you check under the hood and that's like what they're not doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
Lubavitch is all about
penis.
Lubavitch is all about, love your fellow Jew, you gotta love your other Jews. The Rebbe said you gotta love Jews. The people that love Jews the least are Chabad. And the proof is, if you're a Jew, and you know more than them, or as much as they do, and you don't become Chabad, they hate you.
Well, only if you go to their shul every week, but you keep your own distinct minhag.
Yeah, because
like
they can't. They can't.
If
stand
you come
that.
like me and leave, halfway through davening, and no one has any illusions about you being Shomer Mitzvot.
Because they think you're Shomer Brit, but they don't realize you're running home early to beat off.
Chas v'shalom, chas v'lila.
You gotta get on the internet and.
I have never run home to beat off
Ever.
in my life.
In your whole life.
In my whole life.
Really, you never like when you
rushed home
like
or
when
rushed
you were in
away.
high school or something. Like the first thing you did was go home and
Well, I'd go home, or even on the way home.
on the way home.
That's
a little sick.
Well, I kept these magazines in the bushes.
Stop.
So
Stop.
I like to read them.
That's a little sick.
Rush. But, okay, we'll stop with the gay here. But Lakewood Rav has a lot of good things to say here, and he makes the point.
No, he doesn't.
Don't Jews engage in charity for the likes of you? Meaning you and I?
I
won't take charity unless it's particular kind.
Because that's his Christian upbringing.
If it's someone wants to give me some charity, okay, but generally speaking, I won't take charity. But yeah, Jews do engage in charity for the likes of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on.
You got a big load of stuff just before Pesach.
I did. You were there when it arrived, weren't you?
Well, I was there shortly thereafter.
I
couldn't basically see you because there was something like boxes of.
I got boxes of. I got tonnage. I got tonnage.
You got tonnage.
And that could have been yours too.
Yeah. Tom Chay Chavez. They
deliver.
They deliver, and they made special effort before Passover.
They did a really good job.
Now, Lakewood Rav has another great point. Why don't you guys offer to dedicate a nameplate on your apartment doors to whichever benefactor is willing to donate? I'd totally do that.
I call my whole apartment I call it the Malachi Garden Fund Torah Center.
Yeah.
For the right amount of money.
Yeah.
if they combine for, let's say, $200,000.
Oh, hey, you could have me for a couple of hundred.
You're the $5
or even a really classy garden gnome.
No,
if I could just get a really classy garden gnome.
Oh yeah, if I get a big frog on the front of my front yard, that would do it. I would call it the Garden Fund House of Torah.
Do you think garden gnomes are idols?
No, only if you bow down to them.
Okay.
Like a Garden Fund Torah Center. Yeah, $200,000, and it happens.
Oh, hey, $200 and it happens for me. So,
open your wallets.
So you had a great Passover. That's the bottom line.
No, it was the shit. To be honest, it was really a piece of shit. And to make matters worse, check this out.
Yeah.
So the first 49 hours, that whole thing was do the Seder by myself. I'm sitting there thinking about my girlfriend left, and I'm all depressed, thinking about all that, miss her, blah, blah, blah. And the last half, I was starting to get over the fact that she's gone, and I was doing a little bit. So I'm all by myself, and there's no Seders to do, right?
Right.
But it was
except
raining.
for the Seder of Mashiach.
No, that's not. I follow Judaism, not Christianity. So, by the way, do you cross your heart when you go to Chabad shul? A buddy of mine said that he goes to a shul and then they sing Yechi and he just crosses his heart. Right?
Not many Chabad shuls sing Yechi, but I did notice posters up saying, you know, Rebbe King Mashiach.
You saw that?
Yeah, you saw them by Glotmart.
Yeah. Okay. So then you should Okay. So anyways, so it was raining the whole 49 hours. Did you notice that? It was like the whole time it was raining, so it was locked in the house. So there was that, and and then I travel outside for a few minutes. I go smoke a cigar Friday afternoon. So I'm walking around and smoking a cigar, and in the short time I'm there, I see a cat get run over. I was like, "Fuck! This holiday just sucked." And just the visual of watching that scene kept getting repeated, like replay. I've in my mind, because I'm very obsessive, I've visualized the cat getting run over about 1,000 times. That's not an exaggeration. I just keep seeing it over and over, and it's just.
Why on earth did you get up at 4 a.m.?
Oh, today?
Yeah.
I had to go to the...
downtown.
I had to go downtown. I did jury duty.
Why would you get up at 4 a.m.?
Well, I had to take a shower, and I wanted to have coffees before I get in the car.
Okay, so that's 4:30.
Eh?
Gives you half an hour to take a shower and have coffees.
No. I had coffees for about 40 minutes, then I went and took a shower.
Jeez.
Then I came out at 5, and I still had a daven, and then I fixed myself a sandwich.
Why didn't you just...
Because I'm not going to be able to eat the whole day.
Okay.
And then I had to leave by 6. So I would beat traffic. And
So you drove down there?
I drove down there.
Took a bus?
No, I drove.
Okay.
I drove down to the music center.
Okay.
I parked in the Disney Underground.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there around 6:30 or something, and then I had to walk for about 15, 20... No, I got lost. I gave myself time to get lost, which I thought I would do, and I got to the building around 7.
You like that black sugar, don't you? Boy. Get lost there in downtown LA, find some black sugar.
That's funny, too, because a black woman she watched you, "Hey, honey, you look like you're lost a little bit." I go, "Yeah, but... for $20 I can help you out." No. So I get there, and I got there a little early. I needed to be there 7:45 upstairs. I got there about a little after 7. I went down to the cafeteria, drank another coffee, and I went upstairs 7:45.
You made like $15, right?
No, they don't pay you for the first day you're there.
Oh.
You're on your own for the first day. It's only get you. But I'm never going to be on a trial. Never.
No.
Never. I've been to these things. So by the end of the day, I was released. They let us out like 3:30. Done. Oh, hard day. Very tired.
The average black woman makes more money than we do.
Okay. The average anybody makes more money than we do. You know who the judge I was put in front of today? Judge Wapner.
Really?
You know the People's Court?
Judge Wapner?
It's his son. He was also a judge. Judge Wapner, the son of Judge Wapner. So it's Judge Wapner, Ben Judge Wapner, two Jews, and I was assigned to his court, but
I had jury duty in Inglewood, and I did get
Inglewood's,
and had a black judge.
Okay.
And so when I signed out for duty, I went like this to the judge, and he said, "Yeah, I'll get you out of here, in time for Shabbat on Friday afternoon." He was a great judge. The case was a black guy was charged with drunk driving, and he took the breathalyzer and showed he was clearly drunk driving, but the blacks on the jury would not vote to convict a black man. So it was like a total waste of time. And just because the defendant was black, they wouldn't vote to convict, even though the evidence was really clear that...
And you were actually on the jury?
Yeah, I was on the jury.
Oh, I'm never going to be on a jury.
Why?
Because several reasons.
You're a bigot?
No. Number one is I know too much law. And so that during the, what do they call it, the voir dire, I always just play up how much I know. Mm-hmm. And that gets me off right away. Because they'll ask you a question. I was only put on a panel one time. Or I was actually paneled. Mm-hmm. That was in Beverly Hills one time. And, they just said, raise your hand if you know the difference between beyond a reasonable doubt and preponderance of the evidence. I was the only person to raise their hand. I was like shocked. How can anybody not know this, right? So they said, the judge said, "Can you explain that?" And I explained it, and then I kicked off from me because I knew too much. I was like, "Oh, okay, now I got it."
I have friends of mine who are college professors who never get chosen.
Yeah,
they're college professors, but they wanted me.
Because you're.
What does that say about me?
You're black.
I know what it's like to be racially profiled. Anything else going on? I mean, you haven't had anything to say.
You have a thing, though.
Yeah?
How was your Pesach, by the way?
Oh, I've got a job. I've
Yeah, I
had
wanna
it
hear-
the last 2 weeks.
Let's talk about your Pesach. First, how did your Pesach go? Where'd you go for the Seder?
I went to friends.
You went to friends. How'd that go?
It was good. There was an attractive woman there.
Yeah, and what happened with that?
Well, she was sitting like on the far end of the table.
Did
and
you
I
ask
didn't
her the
wanna
4
go
questions?
Hitting. That's terrible. I have such questions that I could give as examples that I've been prone to ask women. But
On most nights I don't dip, but I feel like dipping twice tonight.
Oh.
Hey, honey, how about let's recline together?
how do you feel about bondage?
So what happened with her and with the
Well,
night?
I ran into her, like, I moved down the end of the table one time and, like, struck up a conversation. We had, like, this intense conversation for, like, 10 minutes.
Wow.
And then we were called back for the third or fourth cup. And that was kind of the end of it. So I didn't try anything. I mean, she was in her 20s. And
Really?
I
Why didn't you ask the
probably-
host to follow up on that?
Well, we know people in common, so if...
So are you? Is she Jewish?
Yeah, she's Jewish. Yeah.
She's really Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh, more Jewish than you.
Yeah, well, that's not...
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and she's in her 20s.
Yeah,
But
look to
she's
me.
interested in you?
I have no idea. She talked to me for 10 minutes, but she was kind of...
Are you gay?
No, I'm not.
Then why haven't you asked the mutual friends to make that happen?
Because I didn't get enough indicators of interest. In fact, I didn't get any. So IOI, indicators of interest. So if she'd touched me unnecessarily, if she'd asked me unnecessary questions, if she'd done anything to indicate interest, then yeah. But I didn't get any indicators of interest.
Okay, then why'd you bring it up?
Well, it's not often that I get to talk to attractive young Jewish women.
That who aren't interested in you.
Well,
What good is that? I would rather.
so the Lakewood Rabbs says, Luke, I'd imagine that all of your friends are always trying to set you up with hot young women. No. I'm trying to think last time anyone tried to... Oh. This is what happens. People that try to set me up these days try to set me up with age-appropriate women my age. That's happened twice, in the last year. And these were women in the either mid to late 40s, or even early 50s. And perfectly nice women, but I want a woman in her 20s or early 30s. That's the way God made me. And Lakewood Ralph says, Luke does not have the juice to make the moves these days. That's true. Now, give me a little money in the bank, and my confidence will rise. So I've been working for 2 weeks.
So let's talk about that.
And it's been going well.
Is that an ongoing gig?
It looks like it. I mean,
is it a long-term honey?
We have no idea, but it's working out so far. So I'm really happy, and I never thought I'd be this grateful for an $18 an hour job, but I am.
Okay.
So
do I know the lawyer?
I don't know. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to do anything stupid on the show about my
Okay,
job.
that's probably smart too. Yeah.
Don't blog about my job, and we talk a lot about Dennis Prager and Jewish stuff, and we sing a lot of songs. So
sing a lot. Was this like
sing
is this like the gay and lesbian legal center?
We sing. What else do we sing? Wives should always be lovers, and then we kind of change the words around to day after day there are goys at the office. And we kind of changed the lyrics around. And
do you wear high heels and a dress to work?
No, but I wear a yarmulke and tzitzit.
Okay.
And I'm the only one who does. There are other Orthodox Jews there, but they don't wear their tzitzit out or even a yarmulke. No judgment. I'm not judging, but I am like the... Oh, it's funny that some of the other people on the floor, I walked into one office and the guy goes, Luke Ford, you're a celebrity! And then he downloaded my Wikipedia page and copied it and then handed it all around the
and then you walked out the front door.
I haven't walked back to that end of the floor. And that's down the hallway. I haven't walked back in that direction. So.
Well, I'm really proud of you. You're finally actually making money.
Yeah, it's great. And a real job, and it feels good. I show up at 10 a.m., I leave at 5.
Remember to give me your miser.
Yeah. And as Lakewood Rob says, a man knows he's old when people begin to talk to him about age-appropriate women. So a man should marry when young, lest he one day find himself with age-appropriate women. Good point, Lakewood Rob. So, yeah, it's been cool. And I'd fallen behind on my credit cards for for the first time in my life that I hadn't made my credit card payment. But now I'm catching up, and I'll be back on top again, and the world will open up. Maybe I'll take a writing class, and maybe I'll get some more Alexander clients on the side, so I can teach, Alexander by candlelight, Alexander at night, office job during the day, and who knows? And Dennis Prager's coming out with his book in a week. So excited, I know you are too. Look at the look on your face. It's called Still the Best Hope, Why the World Needs American Values. So I owe about $50,000, and I'm paying an interest rate around 15%. Yeah, Luke blogs about shills, but never about the hand that feeds him. That's true. I've never blogged anything negative about anyone who's employed me. Like, I feel like that's a sacred bond. There are all sorts of sacred bonds that I have violated with my blogging, but that's one that I've never violated. If I work for you,
However,
that's sacred.
However, people who give you money on the show, you will take them down.
Depends how much money.
Oh, there's a price.
Anything else going on that we should talk about?
No, so you're happy. You're a happy guy. You're working
I'm
out.
happy.
You're generally
I'm happy.
It's probably the happiest I've ever seen.
Yeah, like my car runs like a dream.
And now we can be honest. Alexander's stuff was ridiculous. It
was great. It's good for my health, and it opened up a lot of possibilities. I'm able to do my job much more effectively and with much less tension and strain.
Right, but you didn't really think you were going to make a living.
I did, but I don't have a very good grasp of reality.
Right. Yeah. But listen, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once upon a time, I used to work for the OU. I was a rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still am a rabbi, but I was working as a rabbi for the OU. And I decided to leave. And I decided I want to go follow up on. I want to follow up on my bachelor's degree by getting a graduate degree. So I wanted to go to Pepperdine University. Well, I wanted to be a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And open up a practice and actually charge people for me to listen to their problems. So I wanted to do that, and I didn't care if it was a PhD or a master's or whatever. And I looked into it, and I realized the best school for me to go to was Pepperdine.
Yeah.
You knew about that?
No.
So I researched, and they wanted an essay, and they want all your transcripts, and I did all the footwork. And then they have like this thing where you have to study and take
GRE.
Well, that's the thing. They said no for me. Don't take the GRE because I've been away from college for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So they said take the MAT. It's called the MAT.
Okay.
So I studied for it like for an entire summer. I got like the MAT preparation
Mm-hmm.
book, and I was doing all this work Then I went and took the test,
Mm-hmm.
and I scored very well on the test. It was high enough to get in, and I got accepted. And then I went down there and I interviewed, and I enrolled in the classes, and I registered, and I was on my way to Pepperdine.
Yeah.
I did all this footwork.
You go, Rabbs.
I was into it for like 6 months, hardcore studying, doing all the paperwork, processed, got in, and it was one day before like classes were about to start, and I hadn't paid anything yet. I was just registering, And I woke up and I go, I can't make a living doing this. I can sit in school for the next 3 years, get my MFCC.
Right.
But I don't
have a hard time making it.
I'm not going to get all this money back
Yeah.
that I'm putting into this thing.
Yeah.
And I said, what am I going to do instead? And everybody's going, you got to do computers, Rabbs. And that day I called a computer training school. I didn't know the first thing about computer. I wouldn't even know how to turn a computer on. I'd never even been on a computer.
Yeah.
And I went and
What year is this?
The end of '95. So I started school.
Wow, you hadn't been on a computer.
No, well, '95. We had computers in the offices that were like word processors, And I went and enrolled in. I started school in computers, and all of that time that I'd spent the 6 months doing this footwork to get into that Pepperdine was a waste. Okay, so I know how that feels. I didn't spend the money you did, and I didn't spend the time that you did. But you basically wasted 3 years and all the money that went with it.
No, it was great education.
What if you had been working in this law office the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, monetarily, I would have been better off becoming a paralegal.
You think?
Why didn't you ever become a paralegal? There's a ton of work for paralegals, and it doesn't take long, and it's a skill that would be easy for you.
That's a good question. Yeah, my rabbi wrote a book on how from Jews can make a living.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not going to become rich or anything, but they can make a living without ever having to go to college.
Yeah.
Because the main thing is that Jews should not go to secular
Right.
institutes, but like I spoke about before, they should go and get a trade. They should go to trade school. Paralegal, physician, what do they call it, assistant or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the para doctors or whatever you call it. And, you know, it's like everything that there is, there's like something like right underneath it. You know, you can do...
Fluffer.
Yeah. So, you know, why did you become a paralegal?
It's like the commonsensical thing. You know, I lived my life in desperation, either quiet desperation or very loud desperation, but I always lived in desperation. But if I'd simply become a paralegal, when I came to LA in 1994, you know, I'd be making $60,000-$80,000 a year, no problem. So I'm making $18 an hour right now, so that's about $50,000 a year.
No, it's $36 a year. You double whatever you're making an hour, and you double it. That's what it would be a year.
Oh, whoops. Okay, so $36 a year.
But it's not even $36 a year because you're not working full time.
Right, I'm working 28 hours.
That's like nothing.
But I'm working on contract, nothing gets taken out.
Yeah, but then you owe a ton of money at the end on 1099.
No, because I have all sorts of expenses as a freelance blogger. Everything I do is an expense for my blogging. If I see a movie and I write about it, that's a tax deduction. Everything I do, because I blog about it, is a tax deduction.
So if you go to a massage parlor...
That's a tax deduction.
All right, let's talk a little Torah here.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing that I borrowed all this money from my family when I could have just become a paralegal instead of being a what do you call people who sucks from?
A parasite.
A parasite.
I didn't want to say anything. I think I did talk about it a few times. I never thought that you could actually make a living doing that, and if you did, I said to myself, his clientele are all going to be like
gay men.
No, but like loons.
Yeah.
People like, you know, the spiritual ones.
I like Garden Fun. She always has something like wise and feminine to say. Like it still may lead you to something, Luke. You never know. I mean, isn't that just like a lovely woman? And her grammar is so beautiful. Look, are there any typos in that sentence? Are there like, I've got this picture of Garden Fun just like built up in my mind. This is like the ideal woman. I mean, I understand she's married and all that, and I respect that, but like, you know, it's not Garden Fun that I lust for. It's like a woman who, you know, speaks and writes like Garden Fun.
Right.
So I'm not.
You know, because if you saw a picture of Garden Fun, and she was like, you know, 50 years old, and like.
Let's not be ageist here. A lot of 50-year-old women are very attractive.
And she's got like 2 bellies.
Yeah, but she's got lovely grammar. I mean, good grammar counts more for me than, you know, an extra 50 pounds.
Okay.
Of being, you know, geriatric.
Right. Okay, let's talk some Torah.
I just wonder what she's like, though.
Huh?
Do you ever wonder what, like, Garden Fun is really like?
I'm sure she's a lot of fun in the garden.
I bet she's a lot of fun in the garden. I mean, her and her husband, like, are out there, like, planting seeds.
Yeah.
And they're like...
one only wonders what they use those garden gnomes for in the bedroom.
Oh, and just like planting
the
pretty
ultimate
flowers.
toys.
Oh, your mind's in the gutter.
Oh,
I'm
really
thinking
is.
about cutting flowers together and like having fresh.
That's because you're gay.
Flowers.
So you think about flowers. All right, let's get to the Torah. All right?
I wonder what she's really like. I mean, would it be too much to ask for a picture? Would that be crass?
I think that we might lose her.
I just
Where's
like a woman
Faith
with
tonight?
She doesn't. She smells like. I knew it. She smells like a bouquet of roses. That's what I need. A bouquet of roses. A woman who smells like roses and has good grammar and who's wise and commonsensical.
Oh, I can answer his question, Malachi's question. I'll answer that in a second. But first, did you know that Faith is not in the room?
Faith is a lovely woman, but her grammar does not stand up to God and Fun.
I'm just saying that Faith has been very...
and Faith is not Jewish.
Yeah, but she's been very consistent in the room every week.
I think God and Fun is Jewish.
Okay. The other person that's not in there is, where the hell is Talmud 123?
I don't care about him. It's Wankel 613 that I miss.
Wankel! The Wankel. Okay, so Malachi asked a great question. Why is there a different Torah reading in Eretz Yisrael this week? Do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, because they have 7 days of the Passover. We have 8.
So what's that got to do with that?
Configures things differently.
We
have extra readings like for the 8th day.
That's exactly the answer. Malachi, on Saturday, this past Shabbos, for us here in America, we didn't read the weekly Parsha. It was still Pesach.
The last 2 Shabbos, we didn't read the Parsha.
We didn't read the Parsha.
Regular Parsha.
We read the Pesach Parsha of the day. But in Eretz Yisrael, Pesach ended on Friday night, and they started regular Shabbos. So they read Shemini, which was the Parsha of the week, on Shabbos. So now they're ready for the next Parsha, right? And we are still back 1 week behind them. But we're going to catch up because we're going to have to read a double Parsha that they won't, and that will bring us together.
Now the Lakewood Rav says, Luke, you could get a young Peruvian illegal. Now I know I could get an illegal immigrant, and I know I could bring in someone from the third world or even the second world, like a male or a bride. You know what? I want a classy white chick.
Mm-hmm.
I want a classy white Jewish chick who's either a doctor or a lawyer or a business executive or runs her own business, who really has her life on the ball, on the go, who dresses professionally in high heels and like a power suit. That's what I want.
That's getting old. Okay, let's get.
That's what I want. I don't want these illegal immigrants.
Okay, and I want to be the quarterback of the Rams.
I don't want to be with an Asian. I want to be with a high-powered white chick.
Okay, I want to read the Torah portion. I don't want to spend a lot of time here tonight. So let's get to the Torah. People pay.
You never care about my love life.
I don't. I really don't, Luke. I barely care about you.
So do you study Torah primarily because God commands it, or primarily because you love it, or because you've got a show to do every week?
Well, are those my only true choices?
Tell me, what's the primary reason you study Torah?
When I study Torah,
what's the primary reason? Is it because God commands it?
I'm going to say that my primary reason when I learn Torah is because there's genuinely something I need to find out. There's a question that's been asked of me, they need to know an answer to, and I need to research it. That's really the primary thing that drives me on it. Or, alternatively, I want to know something because I want to find out if I'm required to do X, Y, Z, or something like that. Okay? So I'll look into it and blah, 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 blah. Okay? So those are the two primary things that drive me. Did I enjoy learning Torah? No, I don't really like learning Torah. Is it that God commanded me? Well, if I really cared about the fact that God commanded me, I would sit down and make a Seder right now and learn every day. But I don't. I am driven almost solely on the reason I gave. Because there's things I need to look up. If there wasn't anything I needed to look up, I would never learn.
You know the primary reason God and Fun hasn't revealed herself? Because she thinks I'm too needy, and I get unduly excited that a woman is talking to me. And so she doesn't want that kind of creepy, needy...
this whole creepy thing is going on a little bit creepily. What's the primary reason that you learn?
I like it.
Okay.
To the extent that I do it. There have been vast periods in my Jewish life when I haven't done much Torah study. But the primary reason I do it is because I like it. And I can tell the difference between someone who studies Torah out of obligation and someone who does it because they like it. Because someone who does it because they like it, they have genuine intellectual curiosity. Well, the other person's okay, I'm doing this, I'm meeting my obligations, but they're not intellectually alive and excited about different aspects of it. So, but I respect those who do things primarily out of divine obligation because...
Who do you think gets more reward?
Well, according to the Torah, the one who does it because it's commanded.
Right.
I mean, I don't know much, but I know a few things.
Right, because the one who likes it would do it anyways, if it was a mitzvah or not.
Right, and also because one day they could wake up and not like it. Feelings change.
That's true.
You know, sometimes I want a black chick, sometimes I want a high-powered white chick.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't. Okay.
What's the primary reason, in your opinion, that most Jews are not Orthodox?
Most Jews are not Orthodox?
Yeah.
First of all, we don't use the word Orthodox.
Right. Or observant, Torah observant. What's your...
Well, honestly,
Yeah.
I think the Holocaust has a lot to do with that.
Because it wiped out
Well,
the observant ones?
it wiped out European Jewry, right? And up until World War II, the demographics of Jews worldwide were that the saying was, if you go to America, your kids won't be Jewish. So the Fermis mostly stayed in Europe, and they were annihilated. The people who came to America were the Fry Jews, mostly Fry Jews, right? And so therefore, when you take away Europe and you're left with, what are you left with? The places in the world that was dominated by Fry Jews.
Yeah.
The place in the world that was dominated by From Jews was annihilated. There's your answer. But this isn't going to last long anyways because of birth rates. So it's just a temporary thing until the demographics that we had 1938 get rebuilt. It'll take about a full 100 years, but you're going to see the Fermis are going to outnumber the Fry. So your question is only relevant for a very short time period. But that's the answer, that the Fermis were wiped out in Europe.
Interesting. So Rabbi Beryl Wine writes that one of my revered teachers in the yeshiva put it to us starry-eyed teenagers quite succinctly. He said, life is like chewing gum, a little flavor and the rest is simply chew, chew, chew. And so it is. And there's that kind of instruction in my teens when I was a Seventh-day Adventist. It kind of like sent me fleeing from religion because I like ecstasy. Not the drug, but I like ecstasy. You know, I like hotties, I like the thrill of seduction, like, you know, her hair falling on the pillow. I like, you know, Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. I like good music. I like an exciting movie, good TV show, like being on 60 Minutes, you know, self-aggrandizement.
What's your point?
I'm not content with just a little flavor and then chew, chew, chew. That's not the kind of life that I want. I want some ecstasy. And I think, like, where in Judaism do you get frequent experience of ecstasy? Basically only in Hasidic Judaism.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You said you go and learn Daf Yomi every day.
Yeah.
Is that ecstatic?
Ecstatic, no.
Ecstatic?
No, but it's frequently fun because there are people there I know.
But it's a chew, chew, chew?
Yeah, it's a chew, chew, chew. Yeah.
There's no way to say that without feeling gay.
Yeah.
Chew, chew, chew.
Yeah.
Chew, chew. So, I mean, Judaism, Torah is a repetitive, chew, chew, keep it going, year after year, holiday after holiday. Next stop, Shavuos, 49 days, chew, chew, right? Right, it's like you bounce from one station to the next, and each station is, you know, you go 7 days, and then you have like a little stop.
But if you go to someone's home for Shabbat or for Yom Tov, and you like the people, you know, you can have some great conversations. You can really connect with people. It's ecstatic. You know, you can sing and you can meet girls. You can like get a job. Like I got my job because of someone at shul. You know, he asked me, how you doing? And I said, I need a job. And he said, you know, let me see what I can do. And so you can have a lot of, most of the women I've slept with I met in shul.
That's not saying much for Hasidic shuls. But
I didn't say I met them in Hasidic shuls.
Okay.
That's the old look.
All right, let's go. Come on, I'm running out of time here.
So do you agree with that idea that it's really rare to find ecstatic experiences in Judaism outside of Hasidic Judaism? I mean, there's more ecstasy in Hasidic Judaism than in Lithuanian-style Judaism.
Okay.
They get drunk more, they party more.
I don't think that being drunk has anything to do with Judaism. In fact, it takes away from it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's not Simchas a mitzvah, that's Simchas Yayin. And by the way, outside of Lubavitch, nobody drinks like that. Nobody drinks. That's a Lubavitch thing. Lubavitch is the next closest thing to Judaism. It's somewhere between.
Thanks, Rav Shock.
It's between Judaism and Christianity, somewhere out there, and mainstream Judaism and the Hasidic belt. And believe me, I know all about the Hasidic ways. I lived in Bell's Beis Midrash, and I would say that Bell's is more exciting. It's more exciting than going to yeshiva. I've been both, but the real part of Judaism is sitting and learning Torah.
Well, I'm getting into Tanya. I really enjoy learning Tanya. I find that ecstatic.
Why don't you just go to the Kabbalah Center and get it over with?
I'm not into the Kabbalah.
You're like in all this cult stuff. I think your whole attachment to Alexander technique was it's like all these people are like, they're making like a circle and everybody's like touching
each other very gently.
It's like you grew up in Seventh-day Adventist, which was like this huge cult, right? That went off drifted. It's like it's a messianic cult. Jesus is coming in 1964, whatever it is. And whoops, didn't come. So you went from that, and now you're getting anything that's like culty, and it pops its little head, and it's like, then you went in, like
Kundalini yoga.
You do the yoga thing. Like you get sucked into all this.
Yeah.
You were kind of like sucked into like one of those Ponzi schemes.
Actually, it was like where you give $100 in and you're supposed to get $200 back.
A pyramid.
I got sucked into it.
I could see you getting up here because they get you all excited, like,
Yeah.
"Yay, Luke!
Yeah.
You're getting
Yeah.
the money.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a party in your
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Party at Luke's." I could see Luke and like all these women around him.
Oh, and fortune teller took me for like $1,500.
You're like a born sucker. It's like
I'm just vulnerable. I got a big heart, big
because
open
you just
heart.
want to be accepted. You know what? If I wanted to take every dime you had and fuck with your head so bad, here's what I would do, because I know your weakness. Weaknesses for you are women and ego.
Yeah.
Right? If I could make like a big party in Luke's honor, like, whoa,
Yeah.
we're celebrating Luke, and everybody, all the guys are going like, "Whoa, Luke, make a speech, tell us how great you are, Luke," and all the women be like flirting, rubbing their titties in your face, right? I could have every penny that Luke is good for. I would unload his wallets because he would like give me all his money and like everything he owns, and like
just to feel accepted.
Because I could just like, and we would say, we would like carry Luke around the room, make him feel like a big deal. We would take every penny from you. And these chicks would just be like, rubbing you and making you feel like, "God, your dick is so hard, Luke." Meanwhile, I would just drain your bank account, your credit, everything. Would you just hand it over and you'd be like, "Look at me! I've got like all these chicks interested in me," and I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever," because I'm pimping them to you.
That's true. I am really vulnerable.
You're so needy for attention and
so
acceptance, and you want everybody to think how great you are. Because you've got an insatiable need for people to kiss your ass. Right? And
that's true.
I've known all this. It's all a pattern, Luke.
It is a pattern.
And that's why you think like Hasidics are so great, because they have like these culty get-togethers and like it's the feel good. Be like, "Say l'chaim, Luke. Say l'chaim."
It's like, "Yay, Luke! Yay, Luke!" Yeah, exactly. I feel like accepted and loved, and I love studying Tanya because they bring coffee from Coffee Bean, and they bring pastries as well. And so we drink coffee and we eat pastries and we listen to the rabbi talk about Tanya. It's like, it's just ecstatic and awesome. I love it. So I'm pretty vulnerable to cults. Or to anyone who accepts me or, is just nice to me, gives me a little attention, and let alone some...
So I just get it over. Go to the Kabbalah Center. It's another cult.
No, I'm not into that. For some reason, that doesn't speak to me.
You could like,
but you know what? I used to be really into Aish Torah. I love Aish Torah. I love Aish Torah.
Is that a cult?
Well, if it's as much a cult as anything else in Judaism.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, it's totally freaky. Like, they have banquets honoring Larry King, intermarried countless times.
Dennis Prager.
You see their weird videos, where the boys are dancing around for Rosh Hashanah. And, it's like, Judaism's fun and 36 levels of pleasure. And, Aish Torah is this slick marketing that, Judaism's really fun and this is what real pleasure is all about. And they take you in and they set you up at people's homes and they love you and, they try to help you, turn your life around. And I loved Aish Torah. In fact, the best experiences I've had in Jewish life have primarily been at Isha Torah. I love Isha Torah. They were so loving, so kind to me there. Before they kicked me out. They actually kicked me out multiple times. They kicked me out and then I'd come back 6 months later and try to be really nice and quiet and then they'd kick me out again.
I've loved the champs in the room. Hey, Brett, how's it going? Good to see you in here.
So yes, I'm still working in an office and I really miss Isha Torah. I had some great times in Isha Torah.
You know what I knew that, you want to know when my radar was up and I knew right away that Chabad was a cult and it's dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
This was years ago. This was 30 years ago, one of my first experiences in Chabad.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Chabad family for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Let me preface this story. Did you ever see any of the Charlie Manson shows? There's a few documentaries written about it. There was a show called Helter Skelter.
Okay.
And there's documentaries about it.
Okay.
And these were really big, like, in the 70s.
Right.
After whatever. It's funny, I was in the building where he was convicted. And I had just seen one of the repeats. And in that, they interviewed, in the show, one of the Manson brainwashed chicks.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, it was Linda Kasabian or Susan Atkins. It doesn't matter. And she was trying to describe how they all felt about Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, he's just not just the leader, he's our father. And he's our spiritual guy.
Yeah.
And he's our Messiah. And he's our, he's our teacher. And he's just everything. Okay, so then I went, like a few days later, I went to this Lubavitch family for lunch. Right. And I'm not telling the truth. I mean, I'm not telling the truth. I'm not telling a lie here. I'm telling the truth. The wife said almost those words about the Lubavitch Rebbe who was alive at the time, and it just freaked me out. She said, oh, the Rebbe is not just a rabbi, he's our teacher, and he's our father, and he's the Messiah, and he's just like everything is done for him. And I'm like, and if he told you to go kill some people and tear their bodies up, would you do it? This is my first thought. And I said, Rabbs, red flags went way up. That was the first time. I was like, ugh.
What if they would have offered to marry you off to an attractive woman who didn't want kids? Would you have been willing to be Lubavitch?
No. The woman has to follow the man's minhag.
Yeah, but in this situation.
No. I don't change my minhag.
Not even for a hot check.
No! I don't change my minhag. The woman changes their minhag
Ladies,
for the man.
I'm willing to change my minhag.
Well, you don't have
at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd become Sephardi. I'd become Lubavitch. I'd become Bells.
Malachi writes, Charlie Manson, our Rebbe, our king. All right. Okay, so go ahead. Hurry up, because I want to go to home soon. I'm so tired.
So Orthodox Jews frequently have a reputation for not being nice, and one reason is that we're so damn busy. Like, it's expensive to live an Orthodox Jewish life.
Wait a second. This is starting on the wrong foot. Who says we have a reputation for not being nice?
Just as you go out there, Orthodox Jews don't have a good reputation.
Well, because the only person we've heard that from is from Greg Leak. You watching this, Greg? You're the only person.
No. I'm out there. Many of my friends are not Jewish or not Orthodox Jewish, and Orthodox Jews don't have a good reputation among non-Orthodox Jews and among many non-Jews.
Well, you know what?
And so they think we're not nice.
Wait, hold on. Because non-from, the really fried Jews, have a bad reputation amongst Frummies. For instance, who would you rather work for, right? Who would you rather work for, a Goy or a non-from Jew? I'd rather work for a Goy, and here's why. You work for a Goy and you say, hey, I want to take Pesach off. No problem. You work for a fried Jew, and they're like, what do you mean I'm working Pesach? What do you mean? What do you mean? You're more Jewish than me? And you want to take off 2 days Rosh Hashanah from work. Okay, I hope you're working for a Frummie and not somebody who's
No,
fried.
he's not. He's fried.
He's fried? Watch what happens Rosh Hashanah time. I want to take off 2 days. And he says, really? Rosh Hashanah's only 1 day. I'm working second day. What?
So I really shouldn't talk out of office, but he was saying something. I think perhaps he was holding a Seder on the wrong night. And I said to him, I don't judge. And he said, You don't judge. You're the splooge king. You don't judge. That's like so big of you. You who was like all up in the porn industry, you don't judge. Like, whoa. I thought that was pretty funny. My boss also says, I don't want to know anything about you. It's like everyone on the floor is buzzing. Like they got a pornographer, a dirty pornographer on their floor. And my poor boss didn't know any of this when he hired me. And so it's like, I don't want to know anything about you.
Malachi says it right here. He says, not in my town, it's the Reform that are jerks. I agree. It depends where you are, right? If you're in a town and it's mostly frummies, so everybody's going to hate the frummies. If you're in a town where the Jews are mostly fried, everybody's going to hate the fried. I lived in Eretz Yisrael. What? I lived in Eretz Yisrael. I saw it both ways, but I experienced it as a frummie, the hatred towards me from the fried Jews that was totally uncalled for and for no reason, and it's just massive hatred. Go ahead.
So, well, one of the things about leading a traditionally observant Jewish life is it keeps you really, really busy. You don't have time to fight for justice for Trayvon. You don't have time to do all sorts of things. You're busy. Like if you're a normal Torah observant Jew, you're married with kids, like you're struggling to pay day school tuition.
Right.
And live in a halfway decent neighborhood, like who wants to be the poorest member of your community? Like you're struggling and you're freaking busy and you're trying to study some Torah and, worked 3 jobs and, you don't have time for the stuff that occupies 99% of humanity. You just do not have time. You're busy, like you got to get to Minyan, or you got to get to your 3rd job, or, you've got 8 kids. You don't have time to, schmooze with the homeless guy on the corner, usually.
Right.
You don't have time for all the Narishkeit and all the things that preoccupy 99% of people. You just do not have time. And so that will come across frequently as not very nice because you're just busy. If you're an authentic to Torah personality, you are busy. And when you're busy, you don't have time to...
For shtush.
To shtush, or to always be so nice and, hey, how are you? And have a nice day. You don't have time for that.
Well, you know what? I got to say something.
It's nice when you meet people who are nice and...
But, all these great explanations, but I just don't see that the facts are on the ground. I got to tell you something. I just don't see the facts on the ground. You're going to have to tell me a list of people who say this. I want to see Goyim that say that.
The Orthodox Jews are not nice?
I'm going to tell you like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you like this. I was in a room today with about 300 people in the jury pool room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go on a limb here and say there were 2 frummies, and I was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So there was 298 people who were not from. I don't know how many were Jews.
Right.
But there was 298 people who were not from Jews. I'm going to say that 2 of the nicest people in the room, who were most visibly nice, were the frummies. I went out of my way and I was having a good time talking to people, trying to pass the time. I was like one of the more friendly people, and people came up to me and they talked. I was receptive to them. Everybody is different, Luke. You can't generalize based on the feedback of one person. Greg Leake's a great guy. I love the guy, but just because he has bad experiences with the Jews in one area in Dallas doesn't make you can't.
Orthodox Jews are busy.
They are busy, but you can't say
very busy.
We're
a typical observant Jew is very busy.
Has to get up earlier.
Has to get up earlier. He has all sorts of freaking obligations. He can't eat your food.
Right.
He can't go to the restaurants you go to.
Right.
Many won't even step foot inside a video store or a movie theater.
You can't bang your hookers.
The typical Orthodox Jew will not, go to a bar and have a beer with you. That's just not how we roll. And I don't roll on Shabbos.
Brett brought up a great point. He says, Rabbi, you don't have the typical thing. You don't have the 8 kids in the law, doctor, accounting practice, right?
Exactly.
Well, maybe that's my purpose here, right? I'm supposed to turn around and make Jews nobody knows that I don't have the 8 kids
Right.
and that I don't have the law practice or whatever, right? But they see me in this room. And they don't know anything about me, and I'm like a funny guy, and I'm entertaining, and I'm talking to everybody, right? So I put out a good face for the Jewish people. Didn't help that I pulled down my pants. And I just had to throw that in there. All right, go ahead. Next thing.
Hey, good show tonight, man.
Yeah, we're really are hitting the high notes. Like, come on, keep going.
I'm pretty much done.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So, folks,
there was a thing I read though. Wait a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was something that I thought you were going to talk about in terms of learning lishma, learning to learn,
Right.
versus God says to learn it. There was something else.
Okay, should a Jew study Torah primarily because God commands it or because he enjoys it?
He should learn it because God commands it.
For what reason do you study Torah? Do you see a difference between those who study out of obligation?
Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to talk to this one point when I saw this. My rabbi told me this 4 years ago. Because he's a guy who likes to learn. He likes to learn. And if there was no mitzvah to learn, he would still learn every day because he likes learning. And so for him, he can't relate to me where I don't necessarily like to learn.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do any of these mitzvahs.
Yeah.
He said an interesting thing to me, and this was years ago. I said to him, look, I sit around all day, I do nothing. I don't do Torah mitzvahs all day. I do Facebook and email. But back then they didn't even have Facebook. And I don't go to shul, and I don't daven with a minyan, and I don't learn Torah every day, and I don't do all these things that these other guys are doing. Because these other guys are getting out of bed early, and they go and they sit in the kollel all day, right? And they learn from dawn to dusk. Right? That they're learning Torah, they're davening 3 times a day with the minyan, blah, 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 blah. And they learn Torah and they stack up the books high and they learn every day. And they've been doing this for years. And meanwhile, during that time...
13 blot a day.
That's right. Luke never misses. So, and I'm not doing any of these things. So at the end of, let's say, 20 years... They've learned and they've davened and they've broken themselves and they have all these tremendous accomplishments, and I've got
You got a part in an Oscar-nominated
yes, thanks you for making me look good on vinyl. No, I was thinking I've got 20 years of jacking off all over my hands, right? So what do I got? So I thought I'm headed to hell. I'm going to hell. Not even Jesus can save me now. So he said, no, it's not really like that, because you got to understand, a lot of these guys, you don't know what's the story when they learn. They may learn because they just like learning. It's all they know. They like the guys in the base midrash. This is the lifestyle that they've been brought up to follow. There's no challenge in it. There's no yetzer hora that comes and says, I don't want you to learn. I don't want you to go to shul. They just wake up and they go to shul and then they learn all day in kollel or whatever. And they learn and they learn and they learn. But they're not really being tested. You don't know where the test is. The test might be, do they keep their wives happy? Right? Do they satisfy their wives? Do they yell at their kids? Are they abusive? Do they cheat on their taxes? Have they done anything for Trayvon? Right?
Exactly.
Come on now.
What have most kollel guys done for Trayvon Martin?
Exactly. Right? So you can't. Only the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the true judge and knows all the story. Because the fact that I don't go to shul is easy to understand, because I have all these anxieties and blah 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 blah, like we talked about, right? And I have just for me to get out of bed might be a bigger win. Is a bigger accomplishment than these guys learning Torah all day long for 20 straight years. Because the only person who the only entity the only one who can judge is the true judge, which is God. Because he's the one that gives everybody the tests. He knows everything, and he makes a complete weighs, the scales of judgment. Right? You've ever been to People's Court with Judge Wapner, right? It's the scales of judgment, right? Only he knows. He says, look, Luke, the guy's learning Daf Yomi every day, and he's working 28 hours a week. and he hasn't banged any black chicks. This guy's looking great on paper, right? Now's the time for the daughters to all throw themselves at you, right? So what's he do? He throws himself. Luke goes and sits down at the Pesach Seder table, and there's his reward at the end of the table. And Luke doesn't follow up on it because he's got like, oh, I didn't see any questions that were innocuous. I didn't get any innocuous questions. She's not into me. You know, I think if she had a pair of pants and a penis, you would have been all over it. And that's my final word.
Okay, folks, no justice, no peace. Don't stop fighting for Trayvon.
Keep it real.
Keep it real. Keep it on the down low. Don't let the man choke the life out of you. And don't let, you're going to get racially profiled. And, you got to watch it when the cops pull you over. Don't mouth off or give the man too much hassle, because then he'll throw you in prison. And there are too many black men in prison already.
And you won't have Rabbi Rabbs on your jury, because I am done for another year.
Yeah, so stay in yeshiva and stay off the crack.
Oh, give them both guns. Empty your chamber.